Gentlemen, start your engine!
I just think the will and the confidence, the will of what you want to do and what's in your heart carries you through life and makes you what you are.
Dale Earnhardt, the pass in the grass, and other incredible moments from racing's greatest legend. When it came to that man, there are a lot of great memories. Hi, I'm Mark Darrow. Our book gives you a chance to relive some of those stories now frozen in time, starting when he took NASCAR by storm as a 27-year-old rookie in 1979 and winning his first championship the very following year, through other early career highlights leading up to Earnhardt's greatest season ever, 1987, when he caught fire, streaking to 11 victories. Perhaps, though, it was a win in a non-points race for which Earnhardt is going to be most remembered for that year. Bill Elliott had dominated the first two segments of NASCAR's All-Star race, the Winston at Charlotte Motor Speedway. But Earnhardt wasn't about to give up when the green flag dropped on the final 10-lap sprint to pay dirt. Here's how Mike Joy, Barney Hall, and the Motor Racing Network described it.
Last 10 laps coming up in the Winston, they wave the green flag, and Elliott comes up through the gearbox, but Bodine is going to get him, jumps him on the start here, and will pull away by half a car length heading for turn one.
Bodine has the lead for the moment, but it's Elliott who has the inside groove. Their cars get together. Bodine spins. Elliott goes high. Earnhardt goes low. Cars going every which direction.
Elliott has come through the mess to hang on to the second spot. He'll have a shot at Earnhardt as they race back to the yellow.
Earnhardt will lead him back, and the caution will go out.
Earnhardt got into Bill Elliott, and that kind of started things going. Elliott came up into Jeff Bodine. Bodine's car going sideways. Earnhardt jumped right to the bottom of the racetrack. You talk about cool moves, and snuck by on the inside.
Pace car on pit road. Dale Earnhardt is the leader. They wave the green flag, and Earnhardt gets a good jump on the start, pulls away from Elliott by about 3 car lengths, but they're going to chase him hard into turn one.
Bill Elliott's now to within a couple of car lengths, and right on Bill Elliott's rear deck is Tim Richmond. Right behind Richmond, Terry Labonte. Those front 4 cars now having broken away, but off turn number 2, using the middle groove, it's Earnhardt showing the way.
Big question, how much was Bill Elliott's car beat up in that altercation as he got the race car to come back and challenge Dale Earnhardt as they move through 3 and 4. He's down on the bottom. He's right at Earnhardt's rear deck. They're out of 4, headed back to the wire.
Elliott slides up the racetrack, doesn't touch Earnhardt, but he's locked right onto him. This will complete lap 2 of the 10-lap segment. NASCAR conferred, reversed their decision. They did count that first lap, so we're now 2 down, 8 to go.
Elliott is still there, right in the tire tracks of Earnhardt. Now to the inside they go. The cars touch. They both maintain the right direction. And off turn number 2, Earnhardt leads, and it's Labonte and Richmond moving.
Physical indeed as Elliott made his move and tagged into Earnhardt. That gave the opening to Tim Richmond. He moves up on the inside of Bill Elliott. Now Elliott goes after Earnhardt as they come out of turn 4.
Earnhardt is using every inch of racetrack, and Elliott gets together with him. Earnhardt goes off in the grass, brings the car back onto the speedway, and keeps it in a straight line and holds on to the lead. Unbelievable. They're back in 1.
Simply remarkable. Back into the corner they go. Elliott is again there, right behind Earnhardt. Again, Labonte trying to peel off number 2 corner to the inside of Tim Richmond. That's a battle for third, and now Earnhardt and Elliott are side by side.
Elliott is going to try the outside line down the backstretch. Into turn 3 they go. He's going to go in on the outside of Earnhardt. They touch again. Tire smoke, side by side, hooked together. Down to the bottom comes Terry Labonte, and he's going to pass them both. Labonte will take the lead.
Elliott got muscled out of the way by Earnhardt. Labonte went to the bottom of the racetrack, snookered Earnhardt for the lead, but Earnhardt has more power down the straightaway. They'll be dead even, 4 cars deep in turn 1.
Unbelievable racing. Back into the corner they go. Labonte has to yield the inside to Earnhardt. Off the corner, Earnhardt leads. Labonte second, Richmond third. Elliott's coming back.
Let's see what Elliott can do. He got shuffled back all the way to 4th spot. He goes after Tim Richmond as they hit the entrance to turn 3. This time Labonte leaves Earnhardt about a car length now. Elliott moves right up under the rear deck of Tim Richmond and gives him a shove. Elliott dives to the inside.
This is what the Winston was designed to do, test the ability of the best drivers in the business, and Earnhardt is making him work for any inch of ground they gained on him. He hangs onto the lead back in 1.
As they work into the corner, behind the front 4, some pretty good battling as well, but that 5th place battle is at least 5 car lengths back. Elliott, he's sideways off turn number 2. He gathers it back in, but he's losing distance.
Elliott's car breaking loose badly, and as they come by 2 wide right behind him, Kyle Petty just missed him. Elliott draws back down onto the apron. He is out of contention. Meanwhile, Earnhardt leads Labonte off turn 4, about 3 car lengths ahead of Richmond.
Elliott says he has a flat tire. The crew is ready to bring it in. We'll see.
Elliott comes down pit road. Meanwhile, the battle for the lead goes back to turn 1.
And Earnhardt still shows the way. The blue and yellow colors just ahead of the red and white of the Budweiser Chevrolet of Labonte. And Tim Richmond, what a return it would be for him in Winston Cup Racing. They're 1, 2, 3.
Well, if it comes down to a 10-lap shootout based on everything we've seen this year, and in fact in the last half dozen years, Dale Earnhardt is a good man to put your money on. He is going to be tough to get around. Labonte and Richmond are both right there to give it a shot. Labonte about 3 lengths back.
2 laps to go. Earnhardt by a car length. Labonte is there. It's the Chevy show with Richmond back in the 3rd spot. Wallace's Pontiac is 4th, and then Bodine.
There can't be a person still sitting here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway as Bodine now works to the outside of Rusty Wallace in their private battle for 4th and 5th, but Earnhardt still leads at the point.
Bill Elliott limping on the front straightaway. He will not be a factor at all. Terry Labonte with a really resurgent car from the first segment coming up to try to make one last challenge at Dale Earnhardt. He's about 2 lengths back as Richmond tries him on the outside.
Earnhardt brings him out of turn number 4 and down to the line. White flag, final lap for them. Earnhardt takes him back into the number 1 corner. Labonte is 2 car lengths back than Richmond. It looks like they'll settle in among those front 3 there in 1.
It is 2 car lengths back from 1st to 2nd, a car length back from 2nd to 3rd. Ironically, the leaders are now closing in on the slowing car of Bill Elliott. Off turn 2, Earnhardt leads.
Richmond looks like he wants to make a move on Labonte as they head down the backstretch for the final time. Now Labonte trying to drive it in deep on Earnhardt. Earnhardt comes down to close the door. They're all 3 glued to the bottom of the racetrack as they head for the finish.
They may not catch Elliott before the checkered flag. In 1985, it was Waltrip. Last year, Elliott, the 3rd running of the Winston. It's Earnhardt's by 2 car lengths over Terry Labonte. Tim Richmond finishes 3rd.
Yes, there was some hot tempers on pit road as Ernie Elliott and many of the Coors team went over to the Wrangler team. They were pitted right side by side, just a pit between them, and some very harsh words were said. We couldn't hear, probably couldn't repeat what was said there, but tempers were very high.
Now, it appeared that there could have been some contact after the checkered flag right in the middle of the backstretch between Earnhardt and Bill Elliott and Jeff Bodine. Whether it was intentional, we can't say, and you can't really see that close over there, but it looked like the cars did get together. Let's go to Ned Jarrett.
Well, a very happy crew here in Victory Lane. Richard Childers, we'll get to Dale Earnhardt in a moment. Richard Childers, the car owner. Richard, he did pull it off, but boy, it was wild.
I tell you, when a man can bring a car out of the grass like he did there, he deserved to win. You know, I'm just proud to be associated with Dale Earnhardt.
What went on up there in the pits after the checkered flag fell?
Well, there was a little heat, and everybody will cool down a little bit afterwards, but it's just the way it goes.
Okay, well, let's get over here and talk to the man who has been the dominant force on the NASCAR Winston Cup circuit this year and then taking the Winston here today. Dale, congratulations.
Got a little rough there.
Yeah, it did. What happened?
Well, a 5 car and a 9 got together down there, spun out on that restart, and, that gave me the lead. And Bill caught up with me, and he turned me sideways off 2 over there. And that didn't bother me too bad, but when he turned me through the infield, it sort of made me hot. I carried him up the racetrack down there, let him know I was mad about it, and tried to run him in the wall or nothing. He waited on me a lap and tried to run me in the wall. I think I would get fined for that.
What I remember most about that race is that even after Earnhardt and Elliott had a chance to cool down, one was left boiling, the other simmering.
Whenever the race started back, we went down in the 1st and 2nd corner. He slid up, I got under him, clearly under him. He cut down on me, cut me off. I was clearly there. Come back around here, I was clearly under him good, coming back here to the tri-oval. He tried to cut me off again to the grass. Then, going down the back straightaway, he slows up, lets me get to the outside of him, and nearly puts me in the wall going into 3 and 4.
Bill and Bodine hung up down there in 1 and then got all sideways, and I dodged him and got under him and come on back to the line and in front. On the restart, was coming off 2 over, and Bill turned me sideways, and lucky we saved that, and was still in lead, and he come off through and turned me down in the grass. So I just took it. He wanted to play rough.
Years later, sitting in the garage at Charlotte, thoughts of that dramatic shootout still brought a quick smile to Earnhardt's face.
The race with Elliott here was an exciting race, and getting in the grass and still coming out and not wrecking and ending up winning the race. It was a controversial race. I know it didn't make him happy at all, but after we got through it and races since, it's forgotten now, but it was an exciting race.
In 1988, Earnhardt grabbed his first win early in the season, blowing out the field at Atlanta. He triumphed, though, only twice more that year. One got away at North Wilkesboro when he and Ricky Rudd got into a late race shoving match. The headline, Clash follows Crash. As usual, Earnhardt saw it one way, Rudd another.
Drove in just a little bit deeper than me. When we broke for the corner, my nose was in his door, and he comes to the bottom of the racetrack. And he wrecked himself is what he done. He cut me off and wrecked himself. And then I got by him cleanly, and we go down to turns 1 and 2. That had settled down and go down to 1 and 2, and he just I was already low on the racetrack. He drove almost up against the curb and just to get into me with my left rear quarter panel, turn me around.
Earnhardt's response? I didn't hit him any harder than he hit me. During 1989, things were a little lean. The famous number 3 Chevy finally scrambled to grab a couple of wins near season's end. The Southern 500 checkered flag came just a day after his dad, Ralph Earnhardt, was inducted into the National Motorsports Press Association Hall of Fame.
He's why I'm here. I mean, you know, he's my dad was the focus of my life when it come to. I didn't like school. I wanted to be home working on Dad's race car. I didn't like school. I wanted to be home working on cleaning up the shop. I didn't like school. I just soon be washing wrenches. So I followed him around in everything he did. Situations I go through today, it still applies to things that he taught me back then. Basics of mechanics of cars and basics of driving. A little bit of common sense.
In 1990, Daytona dealt Dale a crushing defeat. That year, Earnhardt had the field covered in the 500. The best anybody else could do was barely hang on to his back bumper. When the white flag waved, most of the media had already written their stories on how the Intimidator had finally won NASCAR's biggest race. Then, unbelievably, going into turn 3 with only 1 mile to the checkered flag, he ran over a chicken bone, cutting down a tire, and Derek Cope streaked by to claim Earnhardt's Holy Grail. A couple of years later, he was asked if that race was still a haunting memory.
Not until y'all bring it up. You know, it's a memory that I have, and I've learned to live with it. It took me several months after that to really just be comfortable when I think about it, but you know, you got to pick up and you go on. You got another race, you got another week, and whatever, you got to get on to it, and business at hand.
A year later, Earnhardt was leading the Daytona 500 with 2 laps to go when he crashed, coming off of turn 2. Now, 1991 wasn't all bad, though. Dale visited Victory Lane 9 times and easily won his 5th Winston Cup championship. Things were leaner, however, in 1992. The lone checkered flag came at Charlotte in the Coca-Cola 600. Earnhardt was good, but it was a great pit stop with 56 laps to go that proved to be the turning point.
Dale Earnhardt is in. They elected to come in 10 early to follow the 42 and the 4-car in. It'll be a 4-tire stop. Fuel is already in the car. They're working on the left side now, and he is away a very quick stop. He gained some time on him, 19.40 seconds. Very quick.
And we said that this might be a pit stop race, that quick pit work might decide the issue. 1 second faster on pit road translates at race speed to approximately 190 feet, and that is just about the margin between Dale Earnhardt looking for his first win this year and Kyle Petty and Ernie Irvin also on the schneid to this point.
Let's go down to Bill Hennessy.
Kurt Shelmerdine, you were 3rd yesterday in the race. You just moved your man from 3rd to 1st on a quick pit stop. Flying Aces obviously are doing their number.
Well, we had an awful good stop that time. I think it was real close to 19 flat. Hopefully we can stay there. We haven't really been the fastest all day, but as the tires get worn, we've been better than when they're fresh. So right now, the next few laps will tell the difference.
Dale been saying very much to you about the car and why it's handling?
No, he's just driving his tail off right now.
He had to hold off Ernie Irvin in the final laps. Here's how it sounded on the Performance Racing Network.
Earnhardt dives inside the white line once again, down on the apron. Irvin looks lower than Earnhardt does this time by. He looks to the inside, he can't do it, and settles back in single file.
I've got a sneaking suspicion if Ernie Irvin has got anything for Dale Earnhardt, it's going to be in turn 3. That's where he's been strong now. Will draw within a half-car length. Both cars take a low line. Earnhardt a little bit lower now. Irvin will come up again in turn 4.
Earnhardt moves over to the left to block him off. There's 5 laps to go in the Coca-Cola 600.
Irvin will go to the inside once again. He looks underneath Dale Earnhardt going into turn 2. Earnhardt's able to hold off Irvin this time by a car length, make that 2 car lengths as they head down the backstretch.
Earnhardt and Irvin begin to close in ever so slightly on the lap car of Terry Labonte. Into turn number 3, Dale Earnhardt will have the position 2 car lengths ahead of Ernie Irvin. Irvin is holding a little bit lower line through 3 and 4.
Ernie Irvin's practically on the apron of the racetrack. He closes in on Dale Earnhardt's rear bumper. 3 laps to go. 3 with Dale Earnhardt still a car length in front of Irvin.
Irvin has his best shot so far. He's pulled up on the rear bumper of Earnhardt going into turn 2. They're trying to make their way out of the banking of turn 2. Irvin looks to see which way he wants to go. He stays in single file on Earnhardt this time.
Earnhardt puts the foot in it, going down the backstretch. Will expand it to 1 car length. Here comes Irvin in turn 3. Earnhardt puts it down to the apron. So does Irvin. Irvin now will be in single file. The margin less than 1/4 car length.
Now they're having to deal with the lap car of Rick Mast. Terry Labonte goes around him. Here comes Earnhardt and Irvin. Two more determined drivers you will never see. 2 laps to go.
Earnhardt pulls away by 2 car lengths. Now Irvin narrows that gap down to a car length and a half in turn 1. Into turn 2, Earnhardt drives way low on the white line, goes down to the apron. Irvin, a car length and a half behind.
Irvin will drop in that single file line, 2 car lengths behind Dale Earnhardt, as they are about 2 car lengths from beginning the lap traffic of Terry Labonte. Now Irvin again will close low. He'll look to the outside of Dale Earnhardt. A little bit loose, won't happen this time.
We're coming to the white flag lap. This time by Terry Labonte's out of the way. It will be Irvin and Earnhardt. Earnhardt in front, heading to 1 for the last time. Earnhardt maintains a 1 car length advantage. Irvin has narrowed the gap. He's down to a half a car length. Irvin goes up a little bit high. That allows Earnhardt to pull away by a car length. Irvin tries to narrow the gap down the backstretch. It's a car length and a half.
Earnhardt opens it up. 2 car lengths divide him and Ernie Irvin as the field enters turn 3. It's Earnhardt. Now Irvin begins to close up. 1.5, 1 car length. Irvin swings high. The final 2,000 feet for Dale Earnhardt.
After battling for over 4 hours, it has come down to this. Irvin trying to close in. Can't do it. Earnhardt wins the 1992 Coca-Cola 600 in a fantastic battle, perhaps one of the best Coca-Cola 600s we've ever seen.
It was a long time coming, you know. It's a long time since we've been in Victory Lane, and the guys worked hard. This is the car we wrecked in the Winston, and they fixed it and got us a good motor engineer and all of them. They did a great job. It's great to win down here in front of hometown fans and all these great race fans down here in Charlotte.
Well, all you folks can cheer for Dale now. Nice ovation. The guys said after that last pit stop you were on your own, but they sure got you in and got you out about 19 seconds flat, 4 tires, 2 tanks of fuel, and you were gone.
I think that was the edge. The guys did a great pit stop, and you know, looking back on it, I think it made them work their tires harder, and maybe I could save mine. So maybe that was the edge. That was the difference.
What was your concern when Ernie Irvin loomed up in your rearview mirror?
I just want to run my line. I wasn't really worried about him. He's going to have to take my line or either go the outside, and I done all I could do.
Even though he finished 12th in the championship chase that year, Earnhardt was ready to rebound in 1993 and looked like he would get things started by doing something he had never done before, win the Daytona 500. Dale did end up winning, only it was Jarrett, not Earnhardt, who got past with 2 laps to go and did his best to shrug it off.
They was stirring back there and making their moves, and I was just doing the best I could do.
Later in May, Earnhardt had a magical night at Charlotte, winning the Coca-Cola 600 in such a way that Charlotte Observer writer Ron Green said even Houdini would have asked, how did he do that? The man in black escaped with the checkered flag, despite being penalized twice. The first time when he went in for service as the leader on lap 221.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt sliding in his pit area. Let's go down to Hill Overton,
where Andy Petrie has the flying aces over the wall. Already the right side of that GM Goodrich Chevrolet up in the air. Chocolate Myers has just tossed away 1 can of fuel, second can being affixed to the left rear filler spout. Jack Man around David Smith has the jack up in the air. Now the car up, left front going on, left rear going on simultaneously. Lug nuts being tightened, and they're just about ready to drop the jack. Slight hesitation here now as they're moving around. Evidently a problem.
A super costly pit stop here. Looks like a penalty is going to be assessed to Dale Earnhardt as Davey Allison is able to wheel out on pit road and get around Dale Earnhardt to take the lead.
Dale Earnhardt was in the pits 28 seconds, nearly 29. Davey Allison got out there well ahead of him. We'll have to see where that puts Earnhardt in the running order after these segments of green flag pit stops play themselves out.
Earnhardt really needed a caution period to make up the lost ground, so he sort of made one. At least NASCAR thought so, penalizing him 1 lap when he nudged Greg Sachs into the prettiest slow, lazy spin down through the grass on the front stretch. There was no wreck. Heck, it was hard to find a scratch on Sachs's car.
I was biting my tongue, biting my lip. I wasn't saying nothing. I just kept telling Richard that, I didn't think I hit him. And I still don't say I hit him. If we rubbed or the bumpers touched a bit, it wasn't like I went up there and just knocked the crap out of him and turned him over or around or whatever.
Come on, Dale, admit it. It made that stroll to victory lane a whole lot more fun. That win came shortly after reigning Winston Cup champion Alan Kulwicki was killed in a plane crash. And by the time Earnhardt won again in July at Pocono, Davey Allison had died only days before, the victim of a helicopter mishap. Upon crossing the finish line, Earnhardt, with the help of friend Rusty Wallace, paid homage to both. Honoring Kulwicki, they did his trademark Polish victory lap, holding flags bearing the numbers 28 and 7.
We came down to the line and stopped on the start-finish line, and David Smith, our jackman, said had a word of prayer with all the crew members and prayed for Bobby and Liz and Judy and all the Allison families, and then we took a victory lap in memory of Davey with a flag, sort of half-mast, and then for Alan too.
He would remember those two fallen heroes again later in November when he wrapped up title number 6 at Atlanta.
Honoring Alan is being past champion, losing him like we did. I hope he can hear us. All our prayers and thoughts go out with him. We really think a lot of him. Davey, they'll always be in our hearts.
Then his thoughts turned to his latest in a growing string of achievements.
Oh man, you won't believe that's what you work for, is championships, and it's hard to do. It's hard to win races and win championships. And Rusty was awful competitive this year. He won a lot of races. We didn't win but 6, but we won that championship, and that's what it's all about.
Earnhardt was now one championship shy of tying the all-time record of stock car king Richard Petty. He'd get it the very next season, locking up the 1994 title in typical Earnhardt fashion. He nipped Rick Mast by less than a car length, winning the fall showdown at The Rock.
It tied a record, and a pretty impressive record, pretty impressive driver's record, and Richard and I talked about it quite a bit. What's impressive to me on winning championships and the races that we won is the time we've done it in. I've raced in Winston Cup full time 14 seasons. I've won 7 championships, and I can't imagine that. I think about it and I think about it and I think, well, man, it's just that's like winning half the races you run in, and that's pretty impossible feat in itself. I'm still in the unbelievable side of the excitement. I'm still, I think it's going to take more time to sink in, more time to think about it and soak it up. And, talking to my mom this week, I spent several hours with her this week, and we talked a lot about my dad and things in the past and things that we've accomplished as a driver. And it's impressive. It's hard to impress people this day and time, but I've impressed myself,
So was everybody else. He was then asked to compare the titles he had captured.
It's really hard to say this is a better championship than that one. This was the 7th one, and it tied a record of somebody that's really great in our sport. So it's, that makes it special, but then, too, it's still another great year in my career. And I'm hopefully just getting warmed up,
The now 7-time champ rolled into 1995 confident an 8th Winston Cup trophy would soon be his. But first, he had some unfinished business. Earnhardt had won everything else at Daytona there was to win but the 500. He would come up short again, barely. Charlotte Observer writer Tom Higgins would write that in the closing laps, Sterling Marlin had withstood a stirring, dramatic charge by Dale Earnhardt.
Well, I reckon the best car won. They were awful fast today, and our Monte Carlo was good. It went to pushing on that one set of tires, and we would have been 10th or so anyway, so we went and got tires. Boy, that thing come back to the front. It just needed a little help to get by Sterling. He was real strong down the straightaways. I was better than he was in the corner, but he had a strong race car today. He deserved to win.
He would also add,
I ain't going to Disney World neither.
He was strong, wasn't he?
Yeah. If I'd had a little help, I could have rattled him. I was better than he was through the corners, but he was better than I was down the straightaway. We put a little extra tape on there and got to run a little warm. Hey, this is the Daytona 500. I ain't supposed to win the damn thing already.
There was another big race Earnhardt had his sights set on that season, and he would bag the Brickyard 400 at Indy that August, holding off Rusty Wallace and Dale Jarrett down the stretch.
I tell you, honestly, I felt good about this place when I came here and practiced and tested. I felt good when we raced here last year. I felt really good about this place when I unloaded this new car here and drove it for the first time around here. I just felt confident we had a good race car, that it was going to be a good day for us once we got to the race. I'd have qualified a little poorer than I'd like to have. 13th place was very not what that race car was capable of doing, but still, I was confident the way the car ran. I felt like once we got in the race, we'd be good. It held true. We practiced very little. We got very little bit of practice after qualifying, and we were in good shape from the start of the race. We just had to adjust the car. It was a little too tight. We adjusted on that a little bit with some air pressure and some wedge. The car sort of came to me. And then once we worked our way back up to the leaders, and we did that pretty much on green flag racing, and we were back to the leaders, and we got the lead from the green flag pit stop, and then the last caution there at the end. We were out in front in the calm air, and that's where the car ran the best and worked the best, and it was just a good day for us. I just put pressure on the car from that point on. We had the car under us, and that's what it took to win the race. We had a good race car, and we had it under us at the right time. We put the pressure on, and they had to run their race and try to catch us, and I knew Rusty was probably having the same problem I had when I was behind him, as the bad air, and that was the key to getting away from him and holding the lead for as long as it did. It's got to rank up there with everything you've ever done, but we won 7 championships, and I think the history of this place is just starting with NASCAR being the second driver to ever win a race here. The Indy 500's got how many years of history, so to be in history, set in stone now that we're a winner at the Brickyard, and someday when I retire and I'm gone from racing, that people look back and say that Earnhardt was a winner here, 7-time champion was a winner here. It's going to be pretty impressive. There's no other 7-time champion that's ever won here.
Heading into the 1995 season finale at Atlanta, Earnhardt still held out faint hope for a record-breaking 8th championship. Jeff Gordon, on the way to a first title, went in with a 147-point lead, an advantage even Earnhardt's 5th victory of the year couldn't erase.
Flat out and go after it kind of race. It's we did really good, and that's what we were wanting, is trying to go out and win the race and do all we could to lead all the laps we could. And, that's what it's all about, is trying to do all we can do.
It couldn't have been any sweeter than to race Dale Earnhardt for a championship. I mean, he's the greatest Winston Cup driver out there. I think the greatest driver I'll ever race against, and to be able to keep him from winning his 8th championship, it makes it a lot more special. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I really mean that in a very, very positive way.
I knew when we qualified I had a good race car, and that's what it was all about. Congratulate Rick Hendricks winning that championship. His team has worked hard for it. They've been several years coming, so Rick's due, and I feel good for him and all his crew, all his guys back at the shop. They worked really hard on it.
Early the following year, Earnhardt dusted off his intimidator image. He pounded the rock, banging on Bobby Hamilton, battling for the lead in the late stages to win again at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. Hamilton would simply say after the race, "He hit me." Earnhardt countered, "It's not as simple as that."
We were coming through the corner, and there's some humps down there, and it was bumping along our side of the side, and we just bumped together. Like I say, it was lucky he corrected and saved it, and it could have been a serious crash there. I didn't turn the steering wheel, and he didn't know. We just bumped together. So I just did have to see. I don't know what happened myself. But when we got together, I tried to get off of him as quick as he got away from me. So it was just something happened, and he recovered from it, and that ain't what put him out of the race, though.
It's not that disappointing. These guys work to run up front, and when they're all smiles right now. They might not be smiles tomorrow when they have to fix it, but they're all smiles right now. They've seen their car lead. They've seen us run with the best of the business. Anytime you run with that 3 car, you've done your homework.
I had to drive the car hard all day. We were just on pins and needles, but on that ragged edge, and that's the way we raced. Still got that momentum up from last year and the end of the year there, and I feel like if we keep that momentum up, we'll be in good shape for the year.
Unfortunately, he lost that momentum and nearly much more later that summer, as Earnhardt and Bill Elliott were in the eye of a fiery storm and a typical Talladega multi-car pileup. Earnhardt would later phone Benny Parsons and tell him all about it on PRN's Fast Talk.
Bam, it hit the wall, and then I knew it was on its side, and I knew it got spun around, then I knew it got flipped again. That's when the 33 hit it and flipped it up over him. And then it hit the ground, the 29 went by, and then boom, the red flash hit me, and that was Elliott, I reckon, or whoever, but the red car hit me the last time spun me around, and it was over. When it stopped, I reached up and turned the battery switch off, and I noticed I hit my hand on the mirror. When I reached for the battery switch, I said, the mirror's not really supposed to be that low in this car. And then, too, the dash was 8 inches or so lower than what it was supposed to be. From the 33 hit the car, when it was on its side, it drove the dash and the top down in on the car, and fortunately, I was sucked down like a turtle, and it didn't get on top of me. I'm black and blue all over and got knots and bruises here and there, and I wonder where this come from or that come from. But I feel good. My neck and head's in good shape. No damage there, and hands and arms is pretty good shape, just a couple of bruises and bumps. But collarbones broke from the pressure of the strap, the shoulder harnesses, and I reckon the sternum's cracked, busted in two from the pressure when I hit the wall.
Quite a while after that happened, Earnhardt sat down one day and gave us a lot of insight as to what he exactly felt during the crash and after.
When you get knocked sideways and you're going through the air or the car's sliding through the air and you know you're going to hit something, or you see you're going to hit the wall or whatever's coming at you, you just brace and you just hold on, and you know it's going to hurt, you know it's going to get hard, you know all heck's going to break loose, and it does. But you try to stay intact. In other words, you try to keep the steering wheel in grasp and yourself pushed down in the seat good, and until that thing stops and everything stops around you. So a lot of people, be a horrifying sound and feeling, and it's just horrendous. It's just really something, you know it's going to hurt, you know it's going to be a jolt, and things are going to happen, and just hope you can, when it all stops and it all stops making noise, that you can just sort of clear your head and be able to step out of that race car and walk away. Then there was fire and there was heat, and that was something that you definitely don't want. But that's really the first time I've been through a crash that had fire involved in it, that burnt me and burnt my face and neck and a little bit and my feet around my ankles and stuff like that. But that's the worst thing that worries me is the fire aspect of it. You never get used to it. I don't care where it's at or what racetrack or what situation. You just never get used to a crash or being in a crash. And I can bounce back from them and come on and go again. It doesn't stop me from wanting to go in the corner or racing someone or anything like that. Talladega, Daytona, you still run flat out and still race as hard as you can go.
Unbelievably, Earnhardt would end up on his roof at the very next restrictor plate race, the 1997 Daytona 500. He was butting heads with Jeff Gordon for the win when
I pushed off the corner and got in the wall a little, and I could have took him out too, but I was trying to stay off him, got back, and somebody turned me from the back, and then it was all over with.
Or was it?
I got in the ambulance, and I looked back at the car, and I said, man, the wheels are still on that thing. I got out of the ambulance and asked the guy inside the car that was hooking it up. I said, see if they're cranked. And he cranked it up. I said, get out. Give me the car back.
Dale would get another ride in an ambulance later that year. Mysteriously, he blacked out shortly after the Southern 500 at Darlington started, bumping into the wall twice on the first lap and missing pit road the first time he tried to find the entrance.
My mind or something had to be working, and my vision had to be working, but damn if I could put a picture with it. Puzzled me more than anything. That night, when I really realized what had happened, that was a hell of an experience. I mean, then you go to thinking, well, what the heck is wrong with me, and what's going on? And you go through all the tests and things we went through, and you find out there's nothing wrong with you. So you're that more puzzled or questioning what really went on.
Doctors couldn't find anything really wrong, so they cleared him to race the following Saturday night at Richmond. That's where Dale told us his theory of what happened.
I eat a fresh tomato, one whole fresh tomato with my lunch, and I drank two glasses of that sports drink, which opens up the pores in your stomach to take more fluid in. I taken 3 Actrons, which I have taken before a lot of races because it relaxes your muscles and you don't cramp. And so I think a combination of the tomato, the sports drink, and the 3 Actron reacted on me chemically. That caused what happened. Because I'm telling you, it's just like somebody shot a Demerol in my arm, and I went goofy for an hour and a half.
He was anything but the following February when he finally, after 2 decades of trying, in 1998, Dale Earnhardt finally found a way to win the Daytona 500. Here's how it sounded on MRN radio when he took the lead for keeps, 40 laps from the finish.
Earnhardt's on the prowl again. Side by side for second. Dale Earnhardt to the inside. Race leader Mike Skinner and teammate moves over to the left to give Earnhardt drafting help. It does help, but now Skinner feels a challenge for Schrader for the lead. Schrader wants the lead, so does Earnhardt. 3 wide for the lead in turn 4. Earnhardt now clears Skinner. Schrader to the top side as they race off 4.
May well be some of the best racing we have ever seen at Daytona. Earnhardt comes away with the lead. He brings Kenny Schrader with him.
Then it was just a matter of holding on.
Still a 4-car breakaway at the front of the field. You have to wonder what's going through Dale Earnhardt's mind. He may be thinking, this is the best car I've probably ever had here. Might be the last chance in my career I have to win the Daytona 500. going to be hard to take it away from him, Joe Moore, as he works his way down to the corner. Whoever, if anybody pulls it off, they will earn it.
We've seen Dale Earnhardt make that car plenty wide, and that's what he's going to have to do because he knows he'll try to mount a challenge from behind him. For now, Jeremy Mayfield, the closest thing. Here's the challenge for third, though, as Rusty goes after Jeff Gordon. Folks, the headlight from out from behind Gordon's Chevrolet. Now Rusty down to the inside. Now 3 wide. Schrader goes to the outside. Now Wallace gets third. Schrader comes with him. Schrader, Wallace side by side for third spot.
Third spot under contention in turn number 3 as Wallace digs into the bottom. Schrader goes up high. The front 2 break away off the 4th turn.
Jeff Gordon left out of the draft. He's falling back. Something wrong with Gordon's car. As the field goes by Gordon's car, he's falling off the pace down to the tail end of the field as the leaders go back to 1.
Everybody storms by Jeff Gordon. He hugs the inside lane. The entire field flashes by. Earnhardt shows the way. Jeremy Mayfield still with him. The battle now for third off turn 2. Bobby Labonte takes the outside lane, gets up alongside Rusty Wallace, and Rusty has no one to dance with. Bobby Labonte goes by. Jimmy Spencer goes by. Schrader goes by. Wallace gets in line but feels a challenge from Ernie Irvin.
Bobby Labonte shoots down the back straightaway, slips it up to the outside lane. Now the challenge is on for second off turn 4.
Rides his way right up against the wall as they come down to the line. Laps are winding down in a hurry in the Daytona 500 now. Bobby Labonte gets right behind Earnhardt, sandwiches himself in there in a contention to win that $1 million bonus in the No Bull 5. Can he pull it off? He's working Earnhardt over in turn 1.
Earnhardt shows the way back into turn 1, hugging the inside of the racetrack with Bobby Labonte, a car length behind him. Mayfield rides along in third now, then Ken Schrader in fourth. Fifth is Rusty Wallace. The battle is going on for the 6th spot. And there's trouble off the turn. One car slides down to the inside at his lake speed. He makes contact with John Andretti. Both cars spin down to the inside of the racetrack as everyone else gets away.
This is the race for the win of the Daytona 500. Fields in 3.
Earnhardt swings up to the top of Rick Mass, the lap car on the bottom of the racetrack. Dale Earnhardt puts on the block. Earnhardt slips off turn 4, back to the checkered flag.
Earnhardt in front of Bobby Labonte, a lap car to the inside. Rusty Wallace make that. Mayfield and Labonte banging for second to the stripe. Dale Earnhardt comes to the white flag and the caution flag, and Dale Earnhardt is going to win the Daytona 500 in his 20th try.
This is the greatest time I've ever had in victory lane right here. This is it. I got pretty excited, really. And all the guys come up, congratulations, giving you high fives and thumbs up. Michael Waltrip and Rusty and all the guys. It's been a tremendous week, and gosh, it was a great day. Gosh, it was a great win. All the people, it's just unbelievable. People congratulating you. I've been passed here. I've been run out of gas. I've been cut down with a tire. I've done it all. I've wrote the book now. This is the last chapter in this book. I'm gonna start a new book next year. And but it's over with. We won the Daytona 500. We've done it in every which way you can do it, and lost it. Now we've won it, and I don't care how we won it. We won it. The disappointments and everything you go through, and the chapters you write each year of the race, and what's going on, and to finally win this race, this is big for Richard Shoulders and him and his family, his whole group, as it is for me. All those races we lost, we won this race together. I guarantee you, there wasn't a man on that race team that didn't have something to do with this win. That's one of the greatest feelings in your life, is to work that many years and come so close and be so dominant in some races and finally win that race. That's an accomplishment that we'll not forget.
He also had something else to brag about 3 months later when his namesake, Dale Earnhardt Jr., roared to his first Busch Series win, taking the top honors at Texas.
Well, Dale, talk about the pass. Joe Nemechek in turn number 4. How in the world did you pull that off? Talk about that.
Well, we just been getting a run off of him, and we got a good run on him. Got underneath him and made a pass. A lap car kind of got in his way, but I would have still got underneath him no matter what.
What did your dad say to you on the radio as you were making that pass?
No, he didn't say nothing. He just raced back to the flag hard as you could go.
Were you nervous about your dad being on the radio?
No, he's a great coach. I really love it.
It's pretty awesome, wasn't it?
Very much.
To see your kids come up and do something like this is pretty impressive. The whole team worked hard all day, though, and Dale Jr. kept us cool. We had a fender get on the tire. We had to pit, and I think that sort of helped us on strategy, and it, ended up us winning the race before it because the way the pit strategy fell. But Dale Jr. used his head all day and ran a good race, and like I said, I couldn't be more prouder. I felt good as if it was me winning the Daytona 500.
Well, what were your thoughts as he crossed the checkered flag and took the victory?
Well, just like awesome. Like I said, it just went down there and congratulated him. He was just grabbing and hugging.
Dale Jr. would go on to claim the Busch Series championship that season. And a year later, on the way to a second straight title, he would make his Winston Cup debut in the 1999 Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte. Junior and Dad before.
It's taking some time right now and devotion to do it, but I feel, we feel so confident with our Busch car that we feel we can, exert extra energy into the Cup deal and have no problem.
That's putting a lot of pressure on him, and they still got to realize he's got to run that Busch race at Charlotte, and that's a big focus for us too. So we're trying to keep the throttle pull back on some of the people around him. He's doing good. The people around him I got to worry about.
And after.
Well, grade the driver's performance today.
I don't know. I guess we'd get a C because we just had a pretty average day. I mean, a top 20 is pretty good for an average Winston Cup team, and it's our first race. And I'm just glad we accomplished that and finished without tearing anything up.
And you and your dad had a conversation. What was that like?
I just wanted to make sure he's happy with the car and the way we ran. And as a car owner and a father, just make sure that he's satisfied with everything. Make sure anything I need to do different or change or try something else next time we race this car.
Just a couple of weeks later, Big Dale and Little E raced against each other in round 3 of IROC, held that season at Michigan. The two wowed the crowd with a fender-rubbing photo finish. You can figure out who won.
Michigan was the ultimate racing with Dale Jr. I mean, I knew what he was going to try to do, and I had to play my cars to be where I wanted to be, and it worked out for me.
It would work out for him again in August when he punched his way, to say the least, to a controversial win under the stars at Bristol. Doug Rice and the PRN gang, with yours truly in tow, take you through the dramatic final shootout.
1 lap to go. NASCAR will turn them loose next time by. It will set up a 5-lap sprint to pay dirt. Here in the Goodies Headache Powders 500 at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Quickly down to Brett McMillan.
Mark Martin sitting in 4th right now. Came in and pitted, took 2 tires on, so let's see if that helps him in this final sprint.
And remember that Terry Labonte in the 5th spot took on 4, as did Ricky Rudd. It looks like a couple of other cars took on tires as well. But since we're under 10 to go, it's a single file restart with the lead lap cars out front. They'll get to duke it out amongst themselves. Earnhardt now about set to take the green flag.
Pace car dives onto pit road. Earnhardt gets a great restart here with 5 laps to go. 2 car length advantage over Tony Stewart.
Will it be the veteran? Will it be the rookie? 1 car length of separation between Earnhardt and Tony Stewart as they head back into 3.
2 car lengths the advantage as Tony Stewart tries to reel in Dale Earnhardt. Jeff Gordon is trying to get past Stewart to try to battle for the lead. They're back in 1.
Here goes Terry Labonte underneath Mark Martin. He's up to the 4th spot. Now he'll try to work on Gordon for the 3rd position. Meanwhile, your leader, Earnhardt, by 3 car lengths over Stewart.
Dale Earnhardt pulls away from Tony Stewart. He'll come back to the stripe. 3 laps to go. It's Earnhardt by 3 car lengths over Tony Stewart.
Labonte's on the charge. He got around Gordon. Now he's working on Stewart for the 2nd spot. He punches him in the rear. He looks to the inside. Labonte is strong. He's tracking down Earnhardt.
So with 2 laps to go, Terry Labonte tries to close on Dale Earnhardt. They cross the stripe, head back to turn 1. Terry Labonte is on the charge.
Earnhardt's car is very, very loose in the corner. Here comes Labonte. He punches Earnhardt in the rear. He looks underneath. They get together going into 3.
With 1 lap to go, it's Terry Labonte nosing to the inside of Dale Earnhardt. Side by side down the front stretch. Terry Labonte noses to the point in turn 1.
Terry Labonte takes the lead. Here comes Earnhardt. He hits Labonte. Labonte spins in turn 2. Ricky Rudd crashes into him. Tony Stewart crashes into him. Earnhardt heads back into turn 3.
Out of turn number 4, Dale Earnhardt will win the Goodies Headache Powders 500. A wild finish to this race tonight. Dale Earnhardt has grabbed his 9th win here at the Bristol Motor Speedway, the 2nd for 1999. And Chuck Carlin, what a tough way to end it for Terry Labonte.
Terry Labonte definitely had the better car. Earnhardt did not want to lose it. The 2 of them getting together a couple of different times, coming off of turn number 2 and down the back straightaway. Earnhardt gets into Labonte. Labonte spins coming off of turn number 2. His car terribly, terribly mangled along the back stretch.
And Mark Guerra, they're going to be talking about this for quite some time as Terry Labonte and Dale Earnhardt mix it up. It catches several other cars. As we watch the replay, Earnhardt taps Labonte just enough to upset the Kellogg Chevrolet. Earnhardt dives underneath him, goes on to win this one here tonight. It'll be his 9th victory, but I'll tell you right now, this one is going to cause controversy with a capital C. As a very disgruntled Terry Labonte is out of the Kellogg Chevrolet, walking back toward the backstretch.
Doug, twice he looked like he had this race won in the late going, and twice it was taken away from Terry Labonte. And a bump from Darrell Waltrip cost him the lead to begin with. And what a brilliant display of driving talent and determination by Terry Labonte. He had the 4 fresh tires, and it looked like he was about to make it pay off with a brilliant streak through the field there, starting 5th to take the lead with just 5 laps remaining in the race, and comes up a little bit short.
You know, this place has the longest waiting list in sports to get tickets, and tonight I think that we found out why, because another great finish here at the Bristol Motor Speedway as Dale Earnhardt has taken the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet to victory lane. Terry Labonte has a win snatched away.
It was a controversial finish to the Goodies Headache Powders 500. Dale Earnhardt, though, is in victory lane with our Pat Patterson.
Dale, it was a big race out there. Tell me those last few laps, in your words, what happened?
Well, we had old tires on, and I didn't know who got tires, and all of a sudden here come Terry up. And we rubbed a little in 3 and 4, and I was going to rub him back down in 1, and I got to the bumper, and I hit him harder than I really thought I could. Maybe he checked up a little more, but didn't really mean to turn him around. I meant to shake him more and get back under him, but, he spun him out.
The race was awfully tough, particularly those last few laps in terms of deciding what you were going to do and the strategy that was going to be played out. Did Richards and the guys tell you how fast he was coming up after you?
No, we just was driving our race, and I wasn't worried about anyone behind us. It was just trying to drive our line, and I hate that happened with Terry, but we raced hard all night long, and bad luck for Terry. Like I said, I meant to bump him a little to shake him and get up back under him, but I didn't mean to spin him out.
Steve Richards now I think is caught up with Terry Labonte.
I don't know what he was thinking, and so then we got new tires and came back and passed the guys, and Dale gave me a shot down the corner and turned us around.
Terry, Dale said in victory lane that he didn't mean to spin you out, he just meant to nudge you.
Have you ever heard him say he means to spin anybody out?
So can a guy win a race by spinning a guy out on the last lap? Is that legal?
It depends who it is, and in this circumstances, it's big thumbs up for it, I'm sure.
To come to what it did and him not finish second was the only thing that I hated about the whole deal, and I thought back about. I wished he hadn't, wrecked. I wished it would have been a deal would have bumped and got by him and raced on.
That race will be forevermore known as the Spin and Win. There was less acrimony, but no less excitement when Earnhardt again played the lead in a high-speed drama during the 2000 spring race at Atlanta. PRN again provided the play-by-play.
When they streak across the finish line, this time by 4 laps to go, and Bobby Labonte now starts to lose some ground to the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet. The car length difference, 3 in turn 1.
It is the Chevrolet of Dale Earnhardt, this time about a half car width off the bottom of the racetrack. That seems to work. Labonte still not able to close. Mark Martin is some 25 car lengths behind in third.
3 car lengths of separation at the midpoint of the stretch, this time by. They go down into turn number 3. Now Labonte tries charging to the high line, but it's still 3 car lengths off 4.
Bobby Labonte has 4 wins at Atlanta Motor Speedway. He is desperately trying to get 5, but no matter what line he takes, he can't seem to gain any ground on Dale Earnhardt as they dive into turn 1.
We had to believe that if Labonte could stay with him on the restart, the race was his. That hasn't been the case. Earnhardt, after facing a fierce challenge now, continues to maintain about a 5-car length advantage over Bobby as they head to 3.
Earnhardt makes his way back into turn number 3. Let's see which line he uses this time. He's in the middle of the speedway. Labonte is drifting up even higher, so there's 4 car lengths of separation off turn 4.
Earnhardt gained just a tick more ground at the exit of turn number 4. They flash across the stripe. 2 laps to go in the Cracker Barrel 500. Dale Earnhardt still on the point.
And this time into turn number 1, it appears that Bobby Labonte has closed a little bit of ground. Now it's just a couple of car lengths. Earnhardt wiggled just a little bit halfway through 1 and 2. Labonte trying to capitalize as they work to 3.
3 car lengths of separation at the midpoint of the back straightaway. Now here comes Labonte. He's close to within 2 car lengths. Make it 1 car length. He'll look to the higher line of Earnhardt coming into turn 4.
Bobby Labonte works to the high side of the speedway. Now dives down to the low side. He is a single car length behind Dale Earnhardt. Across the stripe, they look at the white flag. Bobby Labonte 2 feet off of Dale Earnhardt.
The closest they've been since the restart. Labonte tries to go high. Earnhardt says no way. Drifts up even higher. Off at turn number 2. Earnhardt way up high. Labonte tucks right in behind him. Halfway down the backstretch for the final time.
Here comes Earnhardt right on the rear bumper. Here goes Labonte. He'll pull right up on Earnhardt. Labonte down low. Earnhardt is up high. They're racing door to door in turn 4.
Bobby Labonte has a slight advantage to the inside. Here's Earnhardt battling back to the outside. At the stripe, it is going to be Dale Earnhardt by maybe 1 foot as he wins the Cracker Barrel 500 in a photo finish with Bobby Labonte. Earnhardt, 75th career victory. We'll have to wait and see if NASCAR will make that official. But from where I stood, it looked like Earnhardt fought him off at the very end. He made up some ground in the final 50 yards to win that thing by maybe about a foot.
Maybe 3 feet at the most as they were glued side by side. And, Mark, I thought it was going to have to be photo finish there. But at the very last moment, Earnhardt with just enough to hold off Bobby Labonte and claim career victory number 75 here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. His 9th win here, the first since the Speedway has been reconfigured. If you wanted high drama and if you wanted people to stop talking about boring NASCAR Winston Cup racing, maybe you got the solution today. This race was a lot of things, but boring was not one of them. And it is officially now the 3-car, the winner here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And now let's go over to Steve Richards.
Bobby Labonte finishes second, and let's listen.
Just didn't quite have enough, but I tell you what, we fought our heart out right there at the end. Dale and I both did, and that's about the hardest racing I've ever done, and it's just great to be racing with Dale Earnhardt like that.
Bobby, a heck of a show. Last couple laps. Tell us what was going on.
Well, I didn't have any major moves. On the outside, I could run, but Earnhardt got me there at the end going into 1, and I had a run on him going into 3, just behind him. I thought, well, he's probably going to go high to block my line, and I just went low, and just, pretty doggone close at the end.
Now let's go down to Brett McMillan.
And I'm here in Victory Lane. Teresa's come in, get a big hug. Dale Earnhardt, talk about that last lap. That was exciting.
It was. I can't say enough about this Jim Goodrich service crew, Richard Jullers and all the guys. Mike Skinner, I thought had the car to beat, and then he broke something in the engine, and we got into oil, and we was lucky we just didn't get in the wreck there. But as we come on through, we got down there to racing Bobby, and boy, he was strong after 4 or 5 laps. And I just got my best hold and did all I could and run the groove I could run. And I found a little groove in 3 and 4 that was really stretching him a little bit, and 1 and 2 wasn't bad, was holding him off. And I think he just sort of saved it. He made a run at me the last lap, and that was good racing. That was close.
Earlier in that last run, you let him go down low one time. Were you kind of feeling him out?
No, we was just racing. He went low and we went high, and just racing.
9 wins here in Atlanta. I believe this is probably the first one in the new layout, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's the first time I won on this. But, like I said, Kevin Hammond, all the guys, they did a great job on the car. We worked hard on this car. We did practice for a race but right before qualifying, so we would make sure we get plenty of practice for the race, and it paid off.
One last question. How much could you tell did the new front dam rule help you?
Well, it helped some. But as the run would go, the front end would start going away, but the balance was pretty good on short runs.
All right, a Chevy in Victory Lane. Dale Earnhardt, a lot of hugs to go all the way around.
Would you believe before that race, the fans and the media had been complaining the NASCAR Winston Cup Series races were getting boring. The April race at Texas was a bit of a yawner, only because Dale Earnhardt Jr. clearly had the best car. And Dad was more than happy if he put anybody to sleep on his way to his first Winston Cup victory.
Well, Dale Earnhardt had a nice run, and he's going into Victory Lane to help celebrate with his son. Dale, what are your thoughts on that?
That's awesome, wasn't it? I tell you, the kid's something else. Just unbelievable.
Dale, you had a pretty good run yourself, but I guess the kid overshadowed you today.
Yeah, he had a great race car, and I knew we just kept working back. We had a battery go dead on us. Several things happened to us, so we had a good day.
You believe your son won a Winston Cup race? I mean, what were your thoughts when he was just a kid? You ever thought he would be able to do this?
Well, they said he's going to Texas, and that's where he won his first Busch Grand National race. He figured he'd win his first Cup race here.
Congratulations, Dad.
Thanks.
Well, Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s here. Dale Earnhardt Jr., congratulations. Just a fantastic race. You did it with a car that just was a class of the field, and it's a day you'll never forget.
Yeah, I tell you, that was a hard last 50 laps. I was wore out mentally. I'm tired, man. It's everything I had. Just
catch your breath, brother. This is your first one, and you can take all the time you want.
I'm wore out. I need some breath, I'll tell you that. It's just a good race. The car was awesome today.
Was the best sight you saw your daddy standing in Victory Lane today?
That's a pretty good sight.
Congratulations, a fabulous win.
Thank you very much.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. wins his first one in Texas.
Just to show Dad wasn't about to let Junior steal too much of the limelight, that fall the man in black was on the attack, as NASCAR's top circuit tangled at Talladega. Earnhardt was seemingly beaten, starting 15th on the final restart with only a handful of laps to go. Listen how he snuck up on his son, the rest of the competition, and even the announcers on MRN Radio.
5 laps to go in the race. Dale Jr. holds off Bobby Labonte.
Single file freight train charging up the banking of turn number 1 with Dale Earnhardt Jr. hanging on to the top spot. Bobby Labonte every now and then will peek to the inside, will peek to the outside. He's got to be concerned about Mike Skinner. Skinner trying to dive down low up off the corner.
Skinner looking low, Labonte looking low. Everybody trying to fight their way to the inside. Dale Earnhardt Jr. at the start of the day still had something to learn, he said, about drafting. He'll get his master's degree in the next 5 laps.
We'll all find out if the word slingshot is back in the Talladega vocabulary here in about 5 laps. Off turn number 4, Dale Earnhardt Jr. waiting, watching, wondering when the move's going to come.
And for Jeff Gordon, who restarted a moment ago as the leader, he has slid all the way back to 15th position. He's mired up in that traffic back there with nowhere to go. Here's Mike Skinner diving out from behind. Bobby Labonte going to put a run on. Is he going to get some drafting help as he goes after the lead over toward turn 2?
John Andretti pulls in line behind Mike Skinner to provide the push on the outside lane. Now let's see if it'll work. He also gets help from Dale Jarrett. He gets to the outside with Terry Labonte. Elliott Sadler as well helping to push on the outside.
Skinner making the run on the outside. Matt Kenseth is down in the grass, throws up a big rooster tail of dirt, but manages to hold on to it. Skinner on the outside takes the lead to 3.
And now Earnhardt Jr. may not hang on to second spot because John Andretti is there. Off the corner, it's Skinner by a half car length. He has the advantage. Down low, it's Earnhardt Jr. Andretti to his outside. It's Skinner, and here comes Andretti in the middle.
John Andretti breaking down to the inside behind Skinner, now breaking to the outside. They're going to come 3 and 4 wide to the start-finish line. 3 laps to go. Andretti by Skinner to the lead. They're banging fenders for the lead into turn 1. 4 deep for the top spot.
Andretti has it momentarily. Now it's Skinner who squeezes down to the inside. Dale Jarrett and Terry Labonte stacked up on the high side of the banking, but Skinner is strongest right now. He'll lead off turn number 2. Earnhardt Jr. is second. 4 wide for third.
Everybody holding their lane. 4 abreast. Down the back straightaway, it's Skinner with the lead, with Earnhardt Jr. in hot pursuit in second. Then 3 wide for third. Labonte, Andretti, and Terry Labonte.
Terry Labonte's not going to make that move pay off. He's going to go backward. Meanwhile, up front, Skinner looking, waiting, watching. Earnhardt Jr. tightens in behind him. John Andretti drops back just a little bit further. The lead is going to be Skinner, then Earnhardt Jr. and Bobby Labonte, and here comes Earnhardt up the middle.
They don't race anywhere in the world like they do at Talladega. The laps are winding down. There'll be 2 to go as they work their way back down to the line this time. Mike Skinner is the leader. Earnhardt Jr. rides right behind him. Can he hang on to the lead? He made a daring move a minute ago to get it. Can he keep it? They're back in 2.
Just behind the front 2, you've got Bobby Labonte and Dale Earnhardt. They're racing side by side. Earnhardt trying to get some drafting help to move up on the outside. Labonte hoping to squeeze to the inside and make a move. And here he goes, looking underneath Dale Jr.
They are side by side, but Labonte can't make the move, has to tuck it back in line. Mike Skinner guarding the bottom for everything he's worth. And here comes Dale Earnhardt to the outside. He'll challenge for the lead in 3.
Dale Earnhardt goes powering high to the outside of Mike Skinner. The fans just beside themselves here at Talladega, jumping up and down, yelling, screaming. Off the corner they come 2 by 2. You can't tell them apart, Skinner and Earnhardt.
This is going to be a whale of a finish. White flag lap as they come down to the line. 1 to go. Racing for the lead in the Winston 500. Contact between Earnhardt Jr. and Skinner. Bobby Labonte tries to sandwich in. Meanwhile, the outside lane is long gone as they get to turn 1.
Dale Earnhardt leads the way. Now it is Kenny Wallace who moves up to the second position on the final lap of the Winston 500. Joe Nemechek pulls up into the third position. It is a 3-car breakaway. Last trip down the backstretch.
Decision time at Talladega as Dale Earnhardt tries to do it again. But here comes Kenny Wallace looking to the outside lane. Earnhardt blocks him going into 3. 3-car race for the win.
Kenny Wallace looking for that breakthrough victory. Earnhardt trying to block him high and low. Nobody jumping out of line. Here come the leaders off the corner. It's going to be a 3-way battle for the win. They'll come by the Ted Musgrave car with Earnhardt leading.
Here they come into the tri-oval. Kenny Wallace, one final shot at Dale Earnhardt. Behind him, the whole pack steaming for the finish line. Dale Earnhardt wins it. Earnhardt wins the Winston 500 as there's trouble after the finish. Ward Burton spins. Car is spinning. Steve Grissom crashes after the checkered flag. About 6 cars are involved down in turn number 1. But it is over here at Talladega. Dale Earnhardt has won the race. Let's go to victory lane.
Well, this big Earnhardt smile tells it all, but where in the world did you come from? 15th on that last restart.
I was very lucky. I was very frustrated a lot, but very lucky. I kept working the outside and it didn't work. Got 3 wide, didn't work. So I started working the middle, and I knew I had to pass those guys on the inside. I kept working the middle, and finally it started moving. And then Kenny Wallace got behind us, and boy, when Kenny got behind us, we started to the front, and we just kept working away there and working away there. And we finally got it to the front, and Kenny hung on. He's going to try to make a move down the back straightaway, but I kept moving, and he just couldn't really make a run on me. And it worked out. And then he stuck with me through the 3 and 4 and back to the line. And I was proud to make old Richard Swartz here a millionaire. He's worked awful hard all his life, and he deserves it. And Winston's awful good about putting this thing together. And I've been involved in a couple no bull files and never won one. It's pretty unique to win one.
Little did we know then that on that autumn afternoon, October 15, 2000, it would be the final time we would see him spraying champagne in victory lane, that big grin spreading across his face. For in the following year's Daytona 500, he died in a last-lap crash between turns 3 and 4. Ironically, up ahead, 2 cars he owned with Michael Waltrip and Dale Jr. at the controls were crossing the finish line 1-2. It was a crushing blow when NASCAR President Mike Helton stood in the press room at Daytona and fought to get the words out. We've lost Dale Earnhardt. Ned Jarrett, Jeffrey Bodine, Buddy Baker, and Ward Burton had this reaction.
This is a tremendous blow for the sport of auto racing. I mean, we have lost one of the greatest stars there's ever been.
We never thought the Intimidator was ever going to get hurt or not be racing, and now to know that he's gone, he's dead, it's just disbelief.
I knew Dale before he ever started driving. I raced with his father, and then I raced with Dale for a long time, and there's just certain people that you don't feel that this could ever happen to, and he's one of them.
Losing really the main ambassador, the leader of our sport with Dale was just unbelievable. I think anybody that follows the sport or is involved with the sport in a little way or big way is kind of numb today.
Dale Earnhardt's magnificent career ended with 76 victories and 7 championships. But it really doesn't give you the full measure of this imposing figure, who was a dedicated husband, father, friend, and many will argue, the greatest stock car driver of all time. I'm Mark Garrow.
I think about it. You talk about me re-signing my contract now, and how long will I race, and how long will I don't know, man. I don't want to even come to the day that I have to get out of that race car and not get back in it. I don't know that I want to be there. It's not going to be a fun day, you know. There was times when I was not winning in 1974 when I was miserable, when I was just getting started in racing, really. So, I mean, I've learned how to go through those times and get through those times, and because I know I can still win. Tomorrow's another day, another race, and I got that opportunity to go out there and win. And I'm just excited to see what's around the corner. You know, I've been fortunate to win races, win championships, but to also be involved with NASCAR and some pretty great things they've done, announcing things, night races at Daytona, going to Japan, which a lot of people didn't think a lot about, but still, we took NASCAR to Japan. I mean, it's something that is pretty impressive to me, and I've experienced a lot of great things and been involved with. So I'm just anxious to see what happens next. What's around the corner? What's going to, will we run road races forever? Will we run 50 races a year? Will we run, what's going to happen? How will it end, or how will it change? You know, and when I do get out of the car, I won't be Dale Jr.'s car owner, so I'll still get to go to New York and sit at the head table, hopefully. I better. I'm going to skin the little rascal.